I'm Susan, the VP of Marketing, Business Development and Customer Experience of SPTel. Today, I'm very glad that we have Mr. Lee Haoming, MD of Hugs Coffee with us today. So Haoming, good morning, and thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Susan. Thanks for having me here. Really an honor to be part of this series. I'm the Managing Director of Hugs Coffee. Before I even joined Hugs Coffee, I was in the lifestyle events industry for about 3 to 4 years. So if you remember pre-COVID days where we have events, I brought in Artbox from Thailand to Singapore. So I was one of the co-founders of Artbox Singapore. I am also basically passionate about mentoring. So I'm actually a mentor in Mentoring Alliance of Singapore as well, to help with certain of the youths in schools, to just give them a head start.
Before we begin, could you please give us a little bit of background on Hugs Coffee?
Hugs Coffee is not something new in Singapore. We've been around since 2008. Basically 14 years already as of now. We're mainly found in the CBD area or the business districts. We're a homegrown brand, we're a local brand. We specialize in East meets West kind of beverage, which means that we have that local range all the way to your specialty range as well. Since pre-COVID till now, a lot have changed due to the pandemic. So Hugs, we have basically restructured the business quite a bit and actually pivoted as well. As mentioned, all our outlets were found in the CBD or business district. So obviously, pandemic hit us really huge in many ways. So we restructured the business, rebranded ourselves as well, and then actually expanded our business to the residential area over the past 18 months. So just 10 new outlets in the residential area in the last 1 year. We also expanded into the business of more manufacturing business as well, and the B2B. We have our own roastery, we have our own bakery as well. So that gives us different avenues to actually basically expand into different market areas, and different demographics, different customers or client base, and gives us an edge above, gives us that kind of flexibility to actually adapt to any changes as we, march forward towards the future, right?
What are the key things that you feel you made the right decision on that is crucial to your success?
I think it starts off with the right mentality that we had when I first entered into here. The team that I built, the mentality, the attitude, the mindset was very different. We're willing to change, we're willing to have the courage to try. I think we're willing to have basically to think out of the box, and be different about things, right? So I think with that, we already started on the right path. So it's a big leap of faith, and that really, I think, took us to the next level very much. But of course, we did a very deep SWOT analysis in terms of the business, right? And identify what are our weaknesses, what are the weaknesses internally, what are the opportunities externally, where are the market gaps that we could identify during COVID, So that whole analysis gave us a good roadmap or a good idea where we could actually, grow into or expand into.
Yeah, that's nice to hear that. And I also realized that a lot of businesses are also facing a lot of issue in terms of resources. So I'm not sure whether do you actually have to relook into the processes and how you run the entire workflow in the cafe?
We started looking into operation processes, we started looking into the business model itself, we started looking into the branding itself, whether or not if we were to pivot and grow into the residential area, would this brand that helmed for the last 12 years, would it work with the same the different demographics in the residential area? So we look into all these little things and how do we outreach to more people if people are not getting out of their house? The easiest answer were to be, digitalize then, right? Go online, get into people's phone, get into people's laptops, and see where they get. Look into e-commerce platforms. We started to look into working out or revamping our websites, looking at social media channels, and so on. All this were new to Hugs, right? The first 6 months tough, but it definitely gave us that resources or the results that basically sustain us during this difficult time, right? Sales online definitely increased. I mean, it only can go up when you started with no online sales, right?
How did Hux chart its digitalization journey?
We needed to collect customers' data. It hasn't been done so for 12 years. You know, we used to sell, pre-COVID, used to sell about 8,000 to 10,000 cups a day, and those are valuable data that weren't captured, right? So we needed to get our brand name and at least getting people to know about us. So definitely through the digitalization first few steps, we actually managed to done so. Got people to subscribe to us, got people to view us online on basically social media and so on. And then with that signed up and of members and so on, those data was important for us because we got to learn their behavior as well. To a certain extent, like what their preferences are. Do they like coffee with milk? Or even with milk, what kind of milk? Is it the level of milk? Is it latte or is it cappuccino? Or someone that likes local coffee a little bit more? What do they like to pair it with in terms of food and so on and so forth? So all this gives us enough data, or we start collecting all this very important raw data. We start analyzing them. And that helps us to even further strategize where we should be heading towards in terms of new outlets, for example, what kind of promotions we should be doing, and what kind of solution providers we should be partnering with. So I think looking into taking the first few steps and looking at the early stage of digitalization in terms of our journey, right? Besides identifying the different touch points or different data points that we needed to so-called enhance, one common thing among all the solutions or among technology is obviously connectivity, right? If you're not connected, you can forget about having an ecosystem. If you're not connected, you can't communicate. Evidently, we have to look for a great partner or a good partner that actually can provide us what we need in terms of connectivity. In the past, we didn't really look into connectivity or internet, or even AP points, like access points. Reason being is because in the past, our outlet, the first 12 years, right, was mainly takeaway kiosks. The cafe was a lot smaller in size because the fast-paced lifestyle in the CBD area or the business district, right? Nobody really got time to sit down to chat too long. They just grab and go. So we didn't have look into all these things, but as we pivoted the business, as we expanded to the residential area, it's a very different ballgame. People wanted to sit down, wanted to relax, wanted to dine in. So our outlets got bigger and bigger, right? From a 200 square feet, 300 square feet to a 3,000 square feet kind of space. That's 10 times bigger. So you needed to connect your devices, obviously, with your new POS system, your new CRM system, and so on and so forth. So many devices, and so many different solutions on the back end running. We needed to connect them seamlessly. So having great connectivity is one thing in terms of the solution provider, network provider, but at the same time, making sure the network actually gets to every part of that premise that you have, right? The cafe space that you have, because nobody wants data to be dropped off, or as a consumer, if you're trying to make an order and you can't log on or you can't get the order through, that will be extremely frustrating. So again, having SPTel to actually provide us with that network, and then of course introducing us to their partner Aruba for their AP, for their access points. I mean, those are the value-added services or value-added points that made this partnership so much more efficient, I guess, and so much more enjoyable. CCTV, for example, it was introduced by SPTel as well in terms of their partners, right? And the capability of the CCTV could actually go into more than just security reason. It also gives you knowledge and data, such as like heat mapping. You can see where a consumer normally likes to sit. You can optimize your sitting plan, your sitting area. You could be able to basically recognize your customer's demographic.
Most people would wonder why you would choose a relatively unknown company like SPTel to help you in your transformation journey. So what do you have to say about that?
I would say that the main difference is not just in terms of the partnership, the service provided. They also have different products as well, which makes it way more than just an internet provider, right? They have managed services, which we desperately needed. Didn't have a good, we weren't having an IT team or strong suit in technology, right? So managed services and advisors and consultation were important for us. And then of course then they have certain products like your bandwidth on demand and things like that, which was great for a business like ours, because sometimes you might have an event that's going to happen at your outlet and you needed to boost your bandwidth, and you can actually get on to purchase more bandwidth on demand. And things like that will actually help the business to have more flexibility. And in today's day and age, especially during the pandemic, flexibility and adaptability is so important. Being able to mold and change on the go is so important. We changed the whole environment in there to have an event space. We have an amphitheater in our cafe. We have a members lounge in our cafe. And the space can be transformed into different formats. And physical space transforming into different formats requires certain support, certain solutions to do so, right? So yeah, I think they provided us that kind of room to grow. They provide us a lot of products and solutions that allows us to actually do different things, change our concept, change our way of doing things at the cafe.
So, any words of wisdom to impart to those in F&B who are looking to digitalize?
I'll say that doesn't matter which industry you're in, right? Be it F&B or any industry, technology is key, right? Embracing it is important, and it's a long-term commitment. And if you're going to commit, you got to go all the way. You can't think of it as like, let's digitalize today and not tomorrow. You can't do that. To those that have the hesitation to want to take on this change, to embrace this change, to digitalize, right? So it's almost like that analogy that I always like to say to my team is that, like, if going from your home to the office by walking takes you 2 hours a day, and you're used to it, you're okay with it because you've been doing it all your life, 2 hours a day, every day, right? And in fact, learning how to drive is probably going to be a challenge, because at the start, anything about learning is going to be difficult. So it's always going to seem daunting, right? Looking at the instruments and all that, like, oh my God, how am I going to drive this whole life, killer machine to work, right? So there's a challenge there. And then another thing will be that you learn how to drive is one thing, then you need to also be prepared to invest. Digitalization is an investment. So you can learn how to drive and have a driver license and don't invest in a car, and then that driver license is pointless.
It gets you nowhere.
Right? It gets you nowhere in the end. It's just a cut in your wallet, right? So you still need to prepare yourself and say that, look, am I going to invest in buying a car, right? And in Singapore, in context, of course, we all know it's not cheap, right? So it's not a cheap investment in terms of digitalization. But when you invest in, say, digitalization, like in a car, and get past that learning curve of learning how to drive and getting your license, then your journey from your work from home to work that takes 2 hours by walking, it's going to take you maybe 10 minutes, and that's a lot of time saved. And in that analogy, it's just basically digitalization going to save you a lot of time, going to make things a lot more efficient. For those that are worried about the change, it's not impossible.
Yeah, definitely agree with you.
Yeah.
And it's really my pleasure to have you with me. And also, this is really a great session, and also to learn from you, a great learning today about the whole journey, how Hugs Coffee has actually adopted and also go through the entire journey of digitalization. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Susan, for having me here.
Thank you.
Thank you.